Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of No Title Needed. And today, usually I say, we are at Feinstein's. But today we are in the Paul Drescher room. We've been here before at the beautiful Hotel Carmichael in Carmel, Indiana, USA. This is a new setting for us.
It is.
I
like it.
Do you?
Yeah, it's going on.
I feel very important at the conference table. We're waiting for the chairman of the board to arrive. But before that person arrives, we have our guest, Amber Mays. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my
Happy to be here.
Gosh. And we're doing a green theme today, obviously.
Yes, we are.
Except
yeah, you didn't get it.
for a certain person.
Put these two
But
together,
Scott,
you
you
can-
count because you made this.
I did.
Right. So that's how we're taking off our
No,
palette.
it really wasn't supposed to be green.
Taking our palette off of, don't tell anybody that. Don't give away your secrets. All right, so you are many things, but you're with the JCRC.
Yes.
Okay, explain, and you're also a documentary filmmaker.
Yes.
Which I'm going to touch on it real quick, but we're going to talk about it later. You and Philip Paluso, our lovely, beautiful director, and head honcho, and he's awesome in my
He is.
in my
He
eyes.
is.
You made a new documentary,
Yes.
Sweet Lorraine in Auschwitz, and we're going to talk about that later. But in our second half. But right now, tell us what you do.
Yes. So I work for the Indianapolis Jewish Community Relations Council, or the JCRC, and mostly what I do is I'm our Holocaust educator. I work on Holocaust remembrance programs. I send second-generation survivors into schools to share their family stories, so history really comes alive to these kids. It's so important to make sure that we continue to remember what happened during the Holocaust, and so they give the students that chance.
Yeah. How did you even? Were you interested in this?
Yeah, no,
time,
I get that.
Time in history.
I get that question all
Right?
the time.
I mean, were
because
you?
it is a little odd, right?
Yeah.
I totally get that. But yeah, so my interest started at a really young age. I was about 8 years old, and I had like a teacher, and she just sort of offhand mentioned, oh, well, there's something called the Holocaust, but you'll learn about that when you're older. And I was like, excuse me, no.
That doesn't seem right.
That doesn't seem right. Like, you can't just throw this out there and then expect me to not question what you're talking about. So I went to my elementary school library and I asked for every book that they had on the Holocaust, which was 2. Number of the Stars and Jacob's Rescue. So those are locked in there. I remember to this day exactly what I read. And it really just started me on this path. I was not raised Jewish, so I did not, that wasn't part of our sort of family history. It wasn't part of our, annual sort of conversations of what happened to our people. And so my mom was very much like, well, this is strange, but we'll support her.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just continued as I grew older, and I learned as much as I possibly could, and that's how I ended up where I am today.
And you continued, obviously, that interest.
Yes.
Throughout your whole school. So finally, when you did, when in school they're like, now we will learn about the Holocaust. You're like, check.
Yeah, I was like, been there. I've already
You'd
done
be teaching
that.
the class at
Yes.
that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amber, could you please give your PowerPoint?
Actually, I
on
did. I was asked when I was in high school by one of our teachers if I could come do a special presentation on the Holocaust to a younger grade. I was a senior, and so it was freshman. And she ended up writing about it for her master's thesis.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's always, I think it's so fascinating because it's just so unbelievably horrific.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that you would think people would do this, and have no know humanity and do something like this, right? So I think that is a constant interest for people, because a lot of those, well, let me ask you, Bob, I mean, a lot of the survivors, if they weren't really small kids, are dying. They're gone now.
Yes.
I mean, it's like almost like the World War II veteran. They're dying.
Right.
They're most of all of them who fought in World War II are dead.
Yeah, many of the survivors who could really articulate their story, like really remember, aren't with us anymore. And so it really falls to us to ensure that their memory and their stories and what they went through continues on.
Yeah, and like you said, or their kids.
Yes.
Their kids. Well, so what schools you go to schools and stuff. Well, what do you like? How do you spread the educate? You said you were in charge of that.
Yes.
And how does that happen?
So a lot of times I partner with other organizations like Candle's Holocaust Museum or the Greater Lafayette Holocaust Resource, not center.
Yeah.
But, and it's a lot of just actually cold calling, right? It's a lot of just going to these schools. Another program that we have with JCRC is called Student to Student. And it's where high school teens go into schools and they talk about just like what it's like to be Jewish. And so a lot of times my colleagues will also say, we can also have a second generation Holocaust survivor come speak to your kids. And so it's a lot of that sort of grassroots movement.
Do you go?
I have been. I've been asked to give presentations before to schools.
How do the kids? I mean, how do the kids react, or what kind of questions do they have, and do they get it? And
it really depends upon the age. High school tends to be a little bit more quiet, strangely, and middle school, they're the ones that tend to have most of the questions, and they range anywhere from, why did Hitler hate Jews? Which is a whole class in and of itself. So it's very hard to answer to a, seventh grader. But then they'll be more thoughtful, especially with our second generation survivors of asking questions of, well, how did your mom come back?
Wow.
How did your dad, keep living afterwards? And, a lot of times they didn't have any other choice. What were they to do?
Well, and they did survive. So they're almost like, that's the best revenge. They survived.
Exactly.
So they are continuing the lineage.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's their best, because there's nothing you can do. You survive. The war's over. There's no kind of revenge. I mean, some of the Nazis got punished.
Very few.
Yeah. Very few. The Nuremberg trials. And there were some other trials.
Yes.
There were some other trials besides that. That was a biggie. But really, that was, like you said, that was like the percentage was very small compared to what everybody, the Third Reich did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So it was almost like, I think it's almost like, well, this is our revenge. We're surviving. We're living.
Yes.
We lived.
Yeah. We lived. We had children. We had the next generation.
Right.
That is definitely
the
survivor's revenge.
I'm sure Ava.
Yes.
The kid from Terre Haute. She is passed now.
Yes.
But what is her last name again?
Core.
Ava Core. And of course they did a big doc on her for PBS.
Yes.
And she has a museum. Museum is still there in Terre Haute.
It is.
Didn't the first one burn?
Yes, there was. It was firebombed by a neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But she
then she
rebuilt.
Rebuilt. Very interesting. Talk about all the stories are interesting, all of them from every survivor. You see so many. All right, but we're gonna get to. We have to take a break, but we're gonna get to that documentary, Sweet Lorraine in Auschwitz, when we come back. We're just gonna take a quick little break here, from our swivel chairs. These fantastic. A word from our sponsor, artist Randy Sir. Thanks. Hey everyone, we're lucky enough to have artist Randy Sorrell as our sponsor. And today, he's going to show you a few of his beautiful pieces.
Check this out.
Say hello to Songbook Standards. This is an original acrylic, part of my music series that I completed in 2024. Sort of celebrating jazz and blues and cool clubs all across the nation, or the world. And if you dig music, man, you are going to love this one. Lavender Fields is part of my landscape series, and if you could see this in person, you would recognize how thick and juicy and packed full of color this painting is, and it really captures the lavender fields that you see in France, and sometimes you're in Indiana. I think you're gonna love this one.
Hey everyone, welcome back to No Title Needed with our guest Amber Mays. We are in the Paul Drescher room at the conference table, ready to have our meeting. I'm so kidding. The only meeting we're having is with you. Okay, here we go. So we were talking about your history and how you were a kid and interested in the Holocaust at 8, and you were ahead of everybody at school and were already giving presentations, right? And
Yes.
And then when you were in high school, right?
Yeah, I just graduated high school.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to go to England from like the time I was very, very little. And my mom made a deal that if I didn't get in trouble, I got good grades, my graduation gift would be a trip to England. And I was ecstatic, obviously. My mom saved up for 5 years to be able to do that. So she was a single mom, but she really wanted to make sure that I was able to have that dream come true. When I was a junior, I was like, I really want to go to Auschwitz. Like, I really want to be a witness to that. And so talking about presentations, I did research and I made a PowerPoint presentation and a whole like little report that I presented to my mom about why we should take a side trip to Poland. I had, hotel costs and potential flight costs and all of these things that we could go and see. And I said, I will pay for it all. And I worked at Barnes & Noble at the time, and I said, I will save my money and I will pay for that. And so she's like, as long as you can pay for it, we will do it. And so I graduated high school. A few weeks later, we were on our way to Europe. We did a side trip to Poland. Unfortunately, the morning that we were supposed to go to Auschwitz, I woke up with horrible food poisoning. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. And so, looking back, I can laugh at it now. But the entire drive there, because it's about an hour outside of Krakow, and I was just getting sick in the back of this car the whole time. We made our way there. We got there, and I don't know. I felt like I was where I was supposed to be. And I know that sounds very strange. So, just to be standing in a place of such horror and to feel like this is where I'm meant to be at this moment. I think because I really felt like I am one of those witnesses. I am now a witness, right? I can now go back and I can say, no, I've stood on that ground. I have seen from my own eyes everything that you've read about. And But I turned to my mom and I was like, I think we need to go to a hospital. And our driver took us to this little hospital, like, talk about Cold War stuffing coming out of chairs, like one like bulb hanging down from a wire. And nobody spoke English, which, you know, I don't ever go to a country and expect them to. But when you're sick, it really is nice to have somebody that speaks your own language. They gave me a shot, gave me some medication. I was feeling better. So then we went to Birkenau, which is when you think about Auschwitz, you think about Birkenau. It's that guard tower and the train tracks and all the barracks. And we were able to be there for about an hour before I started to feel ill again. But there's one thing that we say in the Jewish community. So I said I wasn't raised Jewish, but I converted to Judaism. And there's one thing that we say, and it's called bashert. And it means to be, meant to be, right? When we were on our way back to London, I was just sitting on the floor, and my mom struck up a conversation with this woman in front of her, asking, my daughter's ill. Are you familiar with London? Do you know where we could go? And then they started talking about why we were even in Poland. This is 2006. People didn't really go to Poland. That wasn't a vacation spot. And she said, well, my husband's a survivor. We come back here to visit the few remaining relatives that he has, but he goes around to schools in London and speaks to them. And in the waiting area, he came and he sat next to me. And he started to tell me a little bit about his story. And I instantly started to feel better. When we landed in London, we were able to find each other near the luggage. And he took my hand and he said, please don't forget us. Please keep telling our stories. And unfortunately, I don't remember his name, and we didn't think about exchanging information. But I've really sort of kept that charge with me.
Right. That's intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chills.
And then you went back like 6 more times.
Yes, correct. Through grad school, I have my master's in Holocaust and Genocide Studies. And so through grad school and then through working with Candle's Holocaust Museum. And one of the things I do for JCRC is a leadership development program. And we do a lot of Holocaust education and contemporary anti-Semitism education. And our big capstone is taking them to Europe and taking them to at least Auschwitz. We also go to Majdanek. In October, we'll be going to Terezin outside of Prague. And so, yeah, I've probably been to more concentration camps than your average person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the documentary,
Yes.
Sweet Lorraine in Auschwitz. How did you meet Frank? Who it was the subject of this documentary?
Yes, Frank Grunwald. So he actually did a fundraising program for JCRC to raise money for our student-to-student program. And that's how I met him. I had just started working for JCRC. My boss said, you have this background. He needs help sort of collecting his thoughts for this program. Can you work with him on that? And what developed was this amazing friendship that I will cherish for the rest of my life. We would get together every few weeks to go through it, and he did this live performance of American jazz standards that he credited with his survival.
Because he plays
the piano accordion. Yes. And that was interwoven with pieces of his story, not his full story, but little pieces of it. And that's also when I met Philip. He was hired by my boss to film it. And so we had developed a rapport. And in that moment, we sort of looked at each other and we were like, this needs to be more. We had so many people come up to us afterwards saying, oh, I wish that this wasn't just a one-time event. You know, there's so much more to Frank's story. I wish that there were more. I wish that we could hear it. And so that's when we decided to venture into, you know, my first venture into filmmaking. Philip's an old pro.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Well, you know, I think any information and education, and like you said, you know, what that gentleman said to you when you were in high school, you know, don't forget us.
Right.
Please tell our story. And there you are. You're doing it.
yeah.
Call to charge. And that's,
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and you're doing it. And I've seen the documentary. It's great. He's
It is.
Frank is very charming man on camera too.
He could be. Yes,
Yeah.
he is. He was.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not easy in itself, right? Like making something like that. That's how long did it take you guys to do that from start to finish?
About 2.5 years. We filmed Frank first, and then we traveled to Europe and sort of walked in his footsteps. We have our own sort of horror stories from when travel nightmare stories from when we were there. And then, you know, we had to fundraise it all sort of ourselves. And so as money came in, that we would sort of piecemeal our interviews and the footage that we were able to get. But I'm very proud of what we were able to put together.
Well,
And-
you should,
And
you're
I
right, you
think
should be.
Frank would be too.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, we had meetings. We eventually had meetings every Friday in which we would just sit and chat about life in the world. And so
Yeah.
getting his story right and sharing it with as many people as possible has become of vital importance to me.
And now it's and explaining that the title, Sweet Lorraine in Auschwitz. He and his
Yes.
brother were brought up with music, and he played the
Yes.
accordion. His brother, they would listen to these jazz standards, American, like almost like the Great American Songbook, you know, and that's Sweet Lorraine, that song.
That was one of his favorite songs.
Yes, so that
And
kind of
He would
got
hum
them-
it in Auschwitz.
got them through the horrors,
Yeah.
you know, and how. And real quick, I'm sure how old was he when he was in there?
He was 9.
Okay.
9 through 12 is
Okay.
when he was in sort of the concentration camp system,
Yeah.
starting with Terezin and then working. And then he was sent to Auschwitz and then several other camps.
And he got some breaks, though. He was, you know, I'm not going to tell,
Yeah.
but it happened with more than some people. It's just a miracle that
Yes.
somebody helped them even get a crust of bread or not be sent to the gas chamber.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, you know, it was like little tiny miracles did happen. Too few, but yeah. So that's all in there.
Yes.
And so yeah. Kudos to you. I mean, it's not easy making, and you know too, it's not easy making, right, a project,
Right.
right? You know what I mean? And then,
Creating something from nothing.
yes,
Yeah.
right. But you had all that history in your head and you know, and the experience, and then you had Philip, who knows how to make a film, for crying out loud. And then you had a great subject in Frank.
Yeah.
You know, so it seems like it's all came together.
And it showed. Yeah.
Right?
All of this really came through in the final product.
Right. We have to wrap it up. I know. It's so interesting.
Time flies.
It's so interesting. I'm sure, you were just a plethora of historical information about this time in history. But thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
thank
very
you for having me.
Right. Thanks for making the documentary.
Yeah.
And thank you to Philip Paluso, who's wonderful.
Yes.
Couldn't do it without him, and we couldn't do this without him. So, Amber Mays, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the documentary. I'm sure you'll be showing it here, there, and everywhere.
Yes.
I know. Try into film festivals and all
Yep.
that good stuff. So that's the next part of the journey.
Where's the best place to find the documentary?
Yeah. Right.
So it just finished screening at the Miami Jewish Film Festival. It's heading to the Chicago Jewish Film Festival. So right now we're only screening through film
So
festivals.
it's not
but a lot of
available yet.
it's not
really.
available yet, but a lot of festivals are doing online screenings that you can, as long as you're geolocated within the U.S., you can watch it. So we do have a website, and you'll be able to keep track of any opportunities to view the film.
What's the website?
It is sweetlorraine-movie.com.
Okay, we'll have that on the screen so people
Perfect.
can see that too. Yes. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all your whatever, everything you did. I mean, and everything you're continuing to do.
Thank
To keep the education with the younger generation alive with the Holocaust.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very important. And thank you for joining us in the Paul Drescher room. but I'm sure we're going to be back at Feinstein's next week, and it's a great place.
Yeah.
Go over there, see a cabaret.
Yeah, come on over to Hotel Carmichael.
Oh my
Check it out.
gosh,
It's
exactly. Stay a night. It's a beautiful hotel, and Feinstein's is a beautiful cabaret and fantastic entertainment.
Beautiful. Go enjoy a meal at Vivante as well.
Oh my God, you're getting everybody in
trying.
here. I know you are. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much. And we're gonna stop talking now
Yeah,
because we
it's
think
good
we're
time.
hilarious. But thank you for joining us for another episode of No Title Needed. I am Cynthia Collins.
And I'm Scott Osborne.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know if we introduced ourselves
I
in the
don't think we
beginning.
did.
Well, we were so excited to have Amber here.
Yes.
But you know what? You know who we are. So we'll see you next week. Thanks.